Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. I'm your host, Sarah Parker, and we have two of my favorite people in the whole world. Gina and Helle are joining us. So thank you, first of all. Oh, so happy.
We are in the house. Thanks for having us.
The Looney Tunes. We are the three Looney Tunes. And of course, not long ago, you actually, because the last time you were both on the podcast, we were talking about the name for your coaching company. So you are now the Transformation Company. How is it going?
It's going well.
Good.
I also like our name for the team. So our athlete team is Team Transform.
Okay.
Team Transform.
Yeah.
And their company name is the Transformation Company. So we're quite happy about that because it's kind of like what we wanted to do was have a name that covers all aspects of our coaching. We don't just do athletes, but also lifestyle. So
I love
that's
it.
dope. Our athletes is doing well. I've just had Pam compete and win her master's class and qualify for the Masters Olympia next year. So that's whoop, whoop. So that's really great. We had Gabby,
Yeah.
Gabby Vega win her masters, and she's also qualified for the Masters Olympia. So we got two now. So
Yep.
that's
Now
dope.
we're sitting 2 weeks out from Rising Phoenix with Gabby, so that's coming up, and get some others in the pipeline. Eunice with Bad Rap, has got a show coming up. So
That's
yeah,
so
exciting time.
Yeah, definitely
It's definitely the fun part of the year,
Yeah, right now we have a lot of athletes competing. I also have athletes in Europe where I have many posing clients there, and I also have several clients for the Danish nationals coming up. So yeah,
I love it. I
it's
love
a
it.
fun time of the year.
Yeah, it is. I actually was thinking about this morning because obviously it's like August already, and I was thinking, actually, although there are competitions up until sort of early December, it's eked out over the years, right? It used to be like November, gone. Now you
It's
see,
done. Yeah.
yeah. Now we've got like December as well. But I was thinking from my own perspective of going to shows, coaching people for shows, doing things in the community, like there is that space sort of December to like late Feb, where I feel like the bodybuilding community can be in a bit of a like a bit of a depression almost because there's not that stuff going on because we do get used to it, right? Like, and if you're competing yourself, if you're listening, when your season comes to an end, the post-show blues, I feel like we can, even if we're not in competition ourselves, we can feel a bit like, oh, this is a bit weird. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's the time for us coaches to go on holiday. It's like between October and I'll say almost like March,
Yeah.
like November, December, January, February. There's just nothing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, of course you have your off-season athletes and stuff, but I mean, there's also many they don't stay on, maybe financial reasons or I mean, prep is pretty demanding financially, and often you have to recover and kind of, gather some money until like next show. So yeah.
Like Sarah was saying, I think the shows have kind of lengthened a bit because I've got several girls that are going November and a couple in December.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're normally it used to be like end of October. Who's done?
Yeah. And it's like, and then I think probably it can hit potentially more in the places that are colder. So UK as an example, where I am, it's like I remember when I was competing and I do my last show of the season. For many years, I always did the last show possible in the season because obviously when I started out, it was. I mean, the federations in the UK now blow my mind. There's so many. There's like two, three,
Really?
4 shows every weekend. There's,
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how many federations there are, but there's like 20 plus federations, including like independent ones. Yeah, and the criteria is different. The judging's different. It is very confusing, but I would always, back in the day, there'd be like 2 or 3 federations. So you'd always do the UK BFF in my, my earlier years. And they did a show in November, so I always do that last one. But then you've got the cold, then you've got Christmas, then you've got people around you wanting you to take part in Christmas. You've just come out in prep, and it can be quite a sort of time where you're like post show, you're a bit beat up, and then everyone's expecting you to like be, you know, all happy for Christmas and stuff, and you're still sort of recovering. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
It's a
me, it was always like Thanksgiving because, like, as an amateur, like nationals was always like, right there at my birthday and right before Thanksgiving. And you're just like, okay, I can have more than just the turkey. you know.
yeah, it's like okay. I find that as well, post show can affect people so differently. And sometimes it takes longer than maybe you would expect if you've had like a long season, you've had multiple shows, you've been in prep for quite some time. We, of course, know the implications off the back of that with health, etc. I think you can sometimes think, oh, I feel fine when I have a bit of food, but for sure, post show can be quite a wild time, can't it?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes that's when the health issues that you accumulated through prep actually kind of rear its ugly head. You kind of manage to get through the prep. And then after prep, kind of, I mean, I've heard hormone crashes happening after prep. It's when you start doing your labs, you're like, oh, my thyroid's not coming back.
Yeah,
So, not start doing your labs, but those post show labs. So,
yeah, yeah,
For me, it's always been like, when you have a goal and you are so immersed in that goal, like every day you have a schedule, like you know exactly what to eat, you know exactly what to do. You like your days are just planned. Like
yeah,
you
go
get
from
up,
serious
say
structure to,
you get up at 7, you go do your cardio, you come home, you have your routine, you make your breakfast, you prepare a maybe second meal or some chicken for a couple of days. You go
yeah,
take a little nap, then you're ready for training. You go train, then you maybe got to come home. Maybe you got to get a nap again because you train hard. Like eat first, and then you have another meal, and then maybe you have cardio again. Maybe you have some posing practice at home, or everything is so like dang dang dang. And I think also to be able to do bodybuilding, you got to be a person that likes that. For me, I liked the structure. I like to just know my day, just ding 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 ding. So for me, it was often a bit like hollow after because I don't have to go do my cardio, and also I'm tired. Like I've been prepping for so long, I've been doing so much cardio and this and that. I know I need to recover, and I should not run out and do cardio. Like I mean, it would maybe have been beneficial if I just went out and did 20 minutes, but
yeah,
I didn't do that. I was just like,
yeah, yeah,
it's like I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have a date. I don't have a show. I'm just gonna chill. And then you feel like, oh, I want to sleep in because you haven't slept in 100 years. Because you always have to go up and do your fasted cardio.
yeah.
That's how I prefer to do my cardio. So it was always like go, go, go.
Mm.
So yeah, you got to manage that hollow after and fill that with something. So I think it's healthy that you start doing the things that you did before prep, such as seeing friends. Maybe you do a weekend getaway, a little vacation, or just like take up your whole social sphere again. If you did had some hobbies before that kind of got phased out because now you didn't have time for that,
Yeah.
you can start that. So it's important to get back to normal life and also set a new goal so you're not goal-less. Because I mean, you you're not just a great bodybuilder because you can get shredded. You're also a great bodybuilder because you're building muscle, you're improving your symmetry, you're coming with a better package than last time. And that's I've always said I don't want to come back next year and look the same. Like I want to come. It was important to me that I just wanted to like people are like, wow, holy fuck, like like
Yes, that's
what did she
bodybuilding.
do in her off season? She really like fucking worked. She didn't just chill. So
Yeah,
as much as it's important to, of course, you know, reintroduce your social network again. It's also so it is important for living, having some balance, but also setting those new goals even like early.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, but I mean, post-show blues it's a real thing,
Yeah.
and I think, not as only is it a physiological trigger because your body is now adjusting to, less hormones or no hormones, but that structure piece I think is possibly even a bigger contributor because you go from having this goal and something so focused to do, and every bit of your day is focused on it to okay, it's gone. All right, what do I do now? And like Hella said, having an off-season goal so you can help maintain your structure, help have some focus, I think makes a big difference. But and I've seen it in varying degrees. I mean, some people really struggle with that post show, and others, it's not so big a deal. But I think it's a very realistic thing that athletes have to somehow figure out.
And also, like, get off your hormones slowly. Sometimes I get some athletes in that is like, oh, I never had a post show plan. Like I never tapered out. Like,
Yes.
never tapered
That's
out.
such a crazy
Like-
freaking topic. I mean, it's just been like a hot trigger thing for me because I've seen male coaches say that women absolutely don't need to taper off. That's what men do. Really?
I love you're talking about this. Love this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there was one male coach that made a real. So his argument for us not having to taper out is like we don't have testosterone, right?
So
So
we don't need to PCT and regenerate and get your
get your test up
testes to
again.
go, start producing again.
But the thing is, have you thought about the psychological effect? Maybe.
And if you're supplementing exogenous hormones and then you abruptly take them away, you don't think that might have an effect?
And also, like, if you look at it, like estrogen, we kind of got the short straw. That's the depressive hormone, right? And testosterone
Sensitivity.
is more like the mood hormone. Like many times, we actually feel like our mood goes up a little bit when we're on testosterone, and it's like it's just utopia to think you can go on a prep maybe 12, 16, 20 weeks and being on hormones and yes, testosterone is like the amounts we take it in as a competitor is like vastly above what our natural testosterone is. Yes, we have testosterone in our bodies is a lot lower than men, but the levels we take it to when we have to compete is just a higher level than natural, obviously. So when you run around with elevated levels for extended period of time, what makes you think you can just stop after a show and be like, oh, now I'm done, That's when you see the hormonal crash that you just like,
Yeah.
and that is not healthy. It's not healthy for your body. It's not healthy for your mind. I've seen many women get like super depressed because they just crashed. So it's very, very, cannot stress this enough. Take it slow with tapering out. And it's not just hormones, but also your T3 and T4. You do not have much of a production because when you take and if you take an exogenous hormone, your body is going to say, oh, there's an abundance of this hormone. We don't really need to produce much of that. So, both, I mean, it's not going to produce much your body of those T3 and T4 hormones. So,
It is
like, how are you going to have that? You got to ask yourself, how can I help my body best recover from this cycle? Because it is a recovery. You want your receptors fresh again. You want all your blood markers to be normal again. And this is like a slow process where you got to taper out and give your body a chance to start producing these things again.
Give your body the support it needs as it makes that transition and normalizes.
Yeah.
Because like you're describing, we can be walking around essentially super physiological for quite some time. And it's definitely something, that's why I say I'm so glad you mentioned it, because it's something that I've observed in the space. And of course, like yourself, spoken to many people that have experienced this crash. Just come off everything the day after your show. And it's like, it makes me think. It's also, I believe, and I'm just going to say it, I feel like it's lazy coaching sometimes because they get the goal of the athlete on stage, they get the athlete photos, they get all of the good stuff. And then this also contributes to what you said about some people don't continue with a coach post show. But as coaches, if we're, giving a post show plan, we're talking about titration, there's still that relationship there with our clients. If you just want to have a load of people through the cattle market and just put them on stage and you don't give a shit, that's when we see these things happening in the space, right? Like it's lazy. It is.
It is, and I think that's like a big hole in the industry in general because, how many times you hear prep coaches going to be like, okay, prep 5 months, here's my fee, pay for 5 months,
Yeah,
and then it stops the day the show stops.
for sure.
I want to reverse that athlete. I want to titrate their hormones. I want to see their labs, which I'm not going to do immediately after. We're talking 4 to 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
So realistically, that pep prep window, it needs to be 6 months because I need to see you for a good couple months after too, because it just doesn't all of a sudden stop. So I think that's something that needs to kind of change, and athletes need to budget that in.
Yeah,
Because,
I agree. This is what I say.
They should stay on a couple of months after to make sure their health is taken care of.
Get you straightened out. Okay, now you're good. Now you don't need me.
Yeah, at least get to that. But also, maybe we think about first-time competitors, and even for the first good few seasons, how much could we give the guidance around the off season to ensure what you said earlier, that we improve the stage package? Because I feel like, again, there can be maybe a bit of ignorance from a client standpoint to go, I can do the off season and it's their first off season. I believe a coach is very, very useful for multiple off seasons if you've got these competitive dreams,
Yeah, I do too. I think having a coach through your off season, your improvement, growth season, whatever you want to call it, is every bit as important as having it through a prep.
I mean, most people need to be held accountable, and it's like growth is also like more of an ordeal than most just think, because like, are you measuring your progress? Are you sure? I mean, again, we've had some athletes that came in that haven't improved in years because it just ran the same 25 rep program on everything and they thought that was the way, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, you can cut years off, like wasted years off with a good coach all season because you want to win, and it's not just about being shredded, it's about making those results. So if you say you diet for 16 weeks, that's 4 months, so there's like 8 months left out of the year. What are you doing those 8 months? Are you just chilling, or are you maybe working hard but working the wrong way? Because you have an idea of like, maybe this works. Okay, maybe it works for somebody, but not for you. So it's really important that things get monitored and also altered. Like, it can also happen for a coach that we say, okay, we lay this plan out, we think that's going to work, and it's like, we don't really think it yielded enough results. Let's change the approach, because we're not fortune tellers that we can say, oh, you need exactly 12 reps on these sets. Maybe it's like, oh, we figure out like supersets and drop sets work super well with you, but you have to work with it. You have to not be afraid of changing some things and trying some things. And it's like, if you just sit with it yourself, like, are you sure that you're doing the right thing and you're being as efficient as possible? And do you have the knowledge?
Yeah.
Like somebody like me, I've been training since I was like 15, 16 years. What's that? That's something like 35, 36 years I've been training. I've been competing since 98, like that knowledge I have.
Yeah.
It's not something you just acquire. I've been a pro for 21 years competitively. It's like that what I have up here, it's only through trial and error and fucking hard work, and I've been working with athletes since 2003. It's like I've tried to work with so many bodies, and yeah, I failed, I succeeded, I learned different bodies, and that's not something you just get.
Yeah. And there's this saying, I'm sure you've heard it, that a solid prep is built off a solid off season.
Absolutely.
You have a shit off season, good luck with that prep, right? So I mean, there's more credence needs to be given to that off season, not only because it's the time that you want to improve and grow, but it's a time you want to get your health, make sure everything's in line, so that, I mean, quite frankly, we know we're gonna mess some shit up when we start prep health wise, right? So you need to have everything perfect, because if you're starting your prep sub to where normal is, good luck with that prep.
But it's also about in terms of like your shape. I've got an athlete, they were so fat, I had to tell them you can't make it.
Okay, yeah.
You
So
need
the off season goes too
like
far.
you need maybe 6 or 7 or 8 months
Yeah.
to get down.
Yeah.
Like there's just no way. And they think,
seen that.
let's do a 12, 16 weeks prep.
No.
Yeah, that's for somebody who's in a good shape that can start there. If you're not starting in a good shape, like we need maybe 6, 7 months.
It becomes half a year long.
Becomes very long.
Yeah.
So you're doing yourself also a big disservice if you're running your off season as like an all you can eat buffet.
Yeah, and
Yes,
like
off season is a prep. It is a preparation for
the prep.
your competition prep. Yeah.
And I think also that, a lot of athletes might need the coach to say, you know what, why don't you take a couple weeks? Why don't you take a month off after the show? Hey, I know you love training 6 days a week, but I think that for your off season, for growth, to optimize it, let's try a 4-day split. Let's get you more recovery time.
Love it.
And I think most athletes, I mean, we're the creature that's just gonna go. More is better, right? So a lot of us as athletes need to have the coach that's gonna say, we're gonna pull it back.
Most of the time,
right?
we tend to overwork ourselves.
We do. I mean, I think that's just the nature of being the competitive person, right?
Yeah.
So I've always said that the coach needs to be the voice of reason, because half the time the athlete lacks it.
Yeah.
They're gonna do whatever it is that says reach the goal, go.
Yeah.
Even though that go might need to be dialed back, and you'll get there farther because you were smarter about it. So
yeah, I feel
coaches
like
got a big responsibility there.
Yeah, because and I find the clients that stay with me through multiple phases, as you touched on already with learning a client's body, like you can't beat it when I can predict pretty much. And I always say, look, I can't promise because we never know what's going to happen, but you can start predicting how this is going to look. You can get a little bit more ingrained in, training footage and being specific around that. You can get in these flows of bringing so much more data from an individual. They learn what to say in a check-in so you can respond accordingly to the check-in. But the learning a client's body, like it's a phenomenal thing as a coach, isn't it? Because you literally have this intuition. You look at a check-in and you go, that's what we need to do. You know what I mean? And it's like you miss that if you don't stay with a coach, of course. Now I understand people have really bad coaching experiences, and I'm not, forgetting that side of things, because if you need to change coach, you need to change coach. But if you find the coach, invest in that coach for, if you can, as many of the phases as possible. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and build that
100%.
long-term relationship as much as you can. I mean,
It's all over. It's not just physically, but also mentally, I mean, it depends on how your role is as a coach, because some coaches are very like, they just deal with like the check-in and the
You look
like,
good. Here we go.
Yeah,
Here's your
I know.
you look great, no changes, that's it, where
My heart.
I'm more like, as a coach, like I want my clients to speak to me because I see myself as being like the problem solver.
Yes,
So,
yes, I love
yes,
that.
I mean, if they're not good mentally, they can't perform well.
Exactly.
So, I'm also there for them if something they're struggling with mentally that's just wearing in and it's hard. Maybe I can give a different perspective. Maybe I can guide them, because that's also something that you acquire through many years of competing. You acquire this mental toughness,
Yeah.
because when you have to perform, and it is so when you are a pro and you stand on the biggest stages in the world, that all eyes are on you. There's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And the better you place, like I placed all the way to the top, where everyone's looking at you. Like, what's your next move? Are you going to win the next show? It's really like either you are the pop or the flop, right? And everybody's going to see it and everybody's going to have an opinion about it, and everybody's going to have opinion about your body and how your look was and this and that, because that's a sport. And you have to be tough to withstand that kind of stress that also comes with that pressure. And also you also put pressure on yourself. It's not just pressure from the outside, but I think the greatest pressure you put on yourself, and you have to learn to do that.
Yeah.
And through competing for nearly 30 years, I have learned to deal with that stress. So I can also help my athletes how they need to take that stress off their own shoulders,
Yeah.
and just focus on the task and not overthink things, and just kind of like leave things alone, leave things to the higher powers. You cannot think yourself to a placing. You cannot ask your coach 20 times like how I think they're going to place. It's
I
like,
know, yeah.
leave the result alone. If you do your work, if you do your cardio, you eat your food, you're strict on your diet, you check the boxes, you do your cardio, there's no way you're not going to be in shape.
Yeah.
And I'm there to make sure that you get in shape. So if I work my hardest and you work your hardest, that's going to produce the best results. And I cannot tell you which placing you're going to get, because it depends on who's going to be on that stage and what shape are they going to bring,
And what
and what are the judges weighing in on hardest that day, because
Yeah, that
sometimes
day.
it can be a little bit more to the size and sometimes a little bit more to the conditioning.
Yeah.
So, it's like, just fuck all that shit.
Yeah.
Don't even think about
Do
it.
your job.
Just
Do what you need to do.
focus on your.
Don't, for me, I never cheated on my diet, at least when I first started out, because I didn't want to have the question mark afterwards. Would it have been better? Would I have done better had I not had that cheat?
Yes.
After it was the year I won my pro card, though, was the first time I cheated. I had been with a coach, was running me into the ground. I had crazy cankles because my body was so stressed and I was retaining so much water. I remember sending him pictures of my ankles, and he goes, "Well, I don't know what your ankles normally look like." And I'm like, "You've looked at my ankles for the last 16 weeks. They don't look like this."
Lazy coaching.
I ended up leaving him 5 weeks before I won my pro card. And, the coach I went to was like, "Food, here, have some carbs, have a cheat." And he gave me Captain Crunch. And I remember, oh my God, the floodgates opened. I was like, okay, Captain Crunch. I had to end up sticking it like in my pantry on a shelf in the back where I couldn't reach, where I would have to grab a ladder to get it because, but the worst thing is like I cheated and I won my pro card. So the next season I was like, oh, well, I can cheat. I can still do good.
You were so depleted that
It didn't matter at that point. Exactly.
But if you're not depleted,
If you're
then
not,
cheat. There's no getting in shape.
fuck up your prep. So don't leave the question mark. there's nothing worse than going on stage, not doing well, and going, could I have done better? I don't want to know if I could have done better. I want to know I did the best I could do.
Yeah,
You don't.
it is as well when it comes to placings. This is what I think from my own journey. We were talking about this before hitting record. When you start to win shows and then you do another show and maybe you get second or third or whatever, and it's like, whoa, I've been able to retain this mindset of like, because I know I've done literally everything to the letter, that when I step on stage, like I look back at my, footage and stuff, and I feel pride to be there because I have done everything I can to present the best physique I can. So then the placing comes and it's like, what is the placing? What do I need to work on? And we move forward. There's nothing that beats that feeling of knowing to deal with placings as well, knowing that you've done everything in your power. Because, like you say,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would feel like to be like, and you might win. You might be a genetic freak and you might win. But also it's like, I don't know, pride in your work, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I think I think for me that was a big factor, like being proud of myself. Like we all try to cheat, and it just makes you feel like
terrible.
really disappointed in yourself. You feel really bad. Then you're bloated the next day. You're watery and you're like, fucking hell, and you just hate yourself. So
Yeah.
it's actually really unhealthy for your psyche to cheat because you let yourself down. You disappoint yourself. You look like shit.
You run the risk of being an emotional eater and then compounding it, and then you eat more because you already fucked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I already fucked it up. What's another
Yeah.
burger gonna matter?
It's a slippery slope.
Well,
Yeah.
this actually ties into what we wanted to talk about the post that we collaborated on. Hella, when you said, should we collaborate? I'm like, yeah, because what a post. And it's something that I
I
speak
knew you
about.
were gonna like it.
Yeah, it's something that I don't know why. I feel like I have to stick up for bodybuilding a lot of the time. Maybe this is why the podcast is about bodybuilding. But it's like I see I see so many things in the space, and obviously the post was essentially saying about, the negativity and the pushback against bodybuilding causing certain things, whether it's food disorders. So obviously you're talking about, binge eating
I've
and
just lately seen so much on Instagram where they blame bodybuilding on this and this and that. And I'm like, you know, if you have issues with yourself, self-hatred, or, maybe you got into bodybuilding because you hated your body, or if you don't start getting like a good relationship with yourself, that's just never going to change. Like bodybuilding is not going to fix if you have body dysmorphia or eating disorders, or
No,
unless you work on it. Like you have to work on it, but it's like the sport itself. I think maybe it even maybe highlights your own issues if you have, because it's like I had a client at some point that was obese, and she actually ended up losing a lot of weight and competing and looking great and all that. But the thing is, I asked her at some point, I was just curious. I said, what made you get there? Like, I'm curious, like, because obviously she was able to get into competition shape and compete. So it's like after the fact where I was like, you have it mentally to go there. I don't understand how you got that fat. Like, did you just not care, or what was the mechanism? Like, what she was just like, one day just took another,
yeah.
and I just ate whatever, and I just started avoiding mirrors. Didn't have any mirrors in my house. I just wore a big sweatshirt, joggers, just kind of like putting it off, making excuses or just whatever, just not wanting to like deal with it mentally, just kind of like la 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 la.
Yeah.
And when you enter bodybuilding, you cannot do like la 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 la. You have
can't
to
hide from the mirror anymore.
You cannot hide from the mirror. You have to take progress pictures from your coach. You have to deal with looking at your body every day. I have some lifestyle coaches, they or clients, they don't like to see themselves in a picture. So we just do weight and measurements until they get comfortable enough with their body to take some pictures.
Yeah.
So, the issue I just want to stress that bodybuilding is not the villain that creates issues. You already come with the issues. It's just like we have a tendency of like, we think something outside of ourselves can fix us, like a new job, a new partner, maybe just moving to a new country. We all had this urge to like just get out and just get away and get a new life, but you bring yourself and you bring your own issues. They will follow you and they will haunt you.
They will chase you down.
They will chase you down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, the issues you have is issues you have, and they're not going to disappear unless you work with them. Work on yourself.
And the irony is, as much as people want to point to bodybuilding and bastardize it for creating the issues, realistically, bodybuilding has the power to help you fix those issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? If you have body dysmorphia, if you have an eating disorder, if you can't, structure your eating and be responsible with it, you learn a way to manage it and it becomes your lifestyle. Now this is something, tools and knowledge that you can employ the rest of your fucking life. But everybody wants to say, oh, bodybuilding is bad. It does this, it does that. And I'm not going to say it doesn't have its pitfalls, physically, yeah, it can cause some problems, obviously. But as far as making it the villain for all these other issues that realistically you already had, and it's just exacerbating it, and if you don't address it, it's just going to make it worse.
I mean, I'll go as far as saying like I had an eating disorder when I started bodybuilding at 16. We all wanted to be
anorexic at some point, or
just didn't eat, and if I ate something, I would maybe eat a chocolate bar all day, and that would be it. And I just wanted to be skinny, and didn't really know like how to go about it. I had a mom, like when she was gonna lose weight, she ate like one of those like cracker breads with cheese, like a low fat cheese, and that was it for the day. So I thought you weren't really supposed to eat anything if you had to lose weight, So like anorexic, a little bit of bulimia, found out it was really cool. If I really wanted to eat something, I could just throw it up and it was like 3 calories. So so I struggled with that for a period when I was like really young. And it was really bodybuilding that got me into eating properly, because I got into the gym. People started saying, oh, you need a protein shake after training. And I was like, oh, really? And they had them, they mixed it up there at the counter there. They had a little bar, like protein bar. Yeah. You could sit there, read all the bodybuilding flex magazines and have your protein drink, So that's how I started like developing an interest, like through the magazines, getting my protein drink after training. And I felt like, okay, people explained to me that protein was like safe. Got a boyfriend in the gym. And I remember like one of the first times, like just in the beginning when I dated him, I went grocery shopping and I came to the gym and I brought all my stuff because I lived like far away. So I was going to train and then go home with my groceries. And he was like, oh, what did you buy there? I said, yeah, but this salad and the cucumbers and tomatoes, no protein. Everything was salad, right? And some fruits. And I thought that was healthy, like 2 big bags, only fruits and vegetables. And he's like, where's the protein? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, well, do you know what's in a banana? And I was like, protein? He was like, no, that's a carb. I had really no clue. And I think with a lot of people, if they're new to working out, they don't really know about nutritional value. I mean, a big service to yourself could be like, start looking at the labels, see what's in it. But I mean, I wish I would have gotten a coach early on. I mean, I was lucky my boyfriend at the time, he had a good knowledge, at least like entry knowledge enough to start eating protein at my meals and getting some supplements and to training hard. So but
it lays the foundation, doesn't it? And what we've been talking about, and this is what I sort of preach, I guess, preach, because it's important to me as a coach that our clients are students of, because we still are, right? Like we're still learning.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how far you,
Yeah,
No,
lifelong. Yeah.
it's a lifelong
The day I stop
learning.
learning is the day I die.
Yeah,
yeah.
never stop learning.
And that's I feel the excitement of it. And when we were talking about off season, it's like, and as you said, you've still got a goal in off season because you need to beat your stage package. But where's that, like you spoke about pressure, right? And this is something I feel could contribute to what you were talking about in the post. That I say I have pressure every fucking day in off season because when I diet down next, I need to like it's a need. It's not just like well, I hope I like every day in off season is like this has to be where it needs to be. But the pressure then, and this is where people kick back, then it's like, well, you're pressurizing yourself all year round. Yeah, good, because it's competitive bodybuilding. But then people push back on that. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. I want to do this. Don't do competitive bodybuilding then, because you can still socialize, you can still do the things, but you are required to commit to progression. Your gym session for 1, 2 hours a day, your food prep. I can still socialize around that, but people don't like the pressure you see because that could be childhood things, that could be a lot of things, right? But
Mhm.
you're choosing to do this. You don't
Yeah.
you don't have to do it, you know what I mean?
And there has to be a certain amount of pressure. It's just a matter of like, is it a is it a negative pressure? Like, are you letting the pressure become a negative thing, whereas you're overthinking and stressing yourself, or
Yeah.
are you putting the pressure into being productive? Because
Good.
the person that don't feel the urgency is not going to get the
It's not going to
result.
do very well.
You're going to have to feel that there's some type of urgency. Otherwise, you're a procrastinator and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, or I'm going to get a coach another day, or I'm going to just get on the diet on Monday. Like you have to feel that type of urgency and put a certain amount of pressure on yourself, but not so much that it becomes destructive.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's demanding, and that I think it can be a shock maybe to people. Like the prep, it's like, oh, I've done the prep, so then I get to do what I want in the off season. You can if you want to, right? That's up to you, but it's competitive bodybuilding, right? Like there is so many people getting into it now. The standards are wild, crazy, and you've got to match what you're saying you want with your actions. But like you say with this detrimental pressure, like you've got to build tolerance. And some people don't really want to, maybe like maybe their life has been quite in the route of like, oh well, do I really need to do it's going to depend on so many different factors. I feel like the childhood part from the food, from the potential pressure, from the mental health side of things, that whatever happened in your childhood, of course, can contribute to a lot of the things that can come out in bodybuilding.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Mm.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's a time where you really got to start working on it instead of like putting a lid on it or packing it in the back of your mind. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
things mental things have a tendency to come out.
Yeah.
And I would say the more pressured you are, the more likely it's going to come out
It's gonna
in that
recur.
situation. And that's not just about bodybuilding or doing a competition.
It's just like,
Any type of pressure is going to come out.
yep. But I mean, again, bodybuilding is going to give you some tools that's probably going to help you deal with that, right? It gives you structure. It teaches you discipline. I have a new older client. She's 59, and her hesitancy was, well, what if I fail? I'm like, but what if you don't?
Yeah.
I said, even if you decide, let's not talk about failure. Let's say you just don't like it.
Yeah.
After 3 months, give me 3 months, you say you don't like it, fine. I said, I guarantee you're going to take away some new tools
Yeah.
that you can use the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So you're not going to waste your money. You're not going to waste your time. You're going to actually learn something about nutrition. I wanted her to get some labs. She ended up going to the doctor, found out she had very, very high blood pressure.
Okay.
You know, she's like, bodybuilding already saved my life. I'm like, there you go. You know, so
For me, there is no failure. Like in
Learning.
life,
You
you
learn.
can't fail.
yeah,
You can't fail.
there's
because
failure
it's
in the
like,
gym. Failures in
well,
Failure in the gym. Yeah.
that's a different type of failure. We want to go to failure, but I'm like, you know, there is no failure, because if you say this example, she's afraid of failing. Well, what is it she's afraid of? She's afraid of like either not being good enough or not being able to actually pull it through. But it's like, if you can't pull it through, well, if you really want to and you want to do the show, you're going to pull it through. And you're having a professional at your side. So even if you have no knowledge, they're going to be there to guide you. So I don't see what the problem is. And even if she says after 3 months, you know what, this is not for me, I don't see it as a failure. I see it as a win, because rather have tried it and you figure out it's not for me,
Not for you.
then she will still be
Wonder.
thinking about it in 5 years from now. Oh, I wonder if I
Did
could
it-
have done that
did I-
bodybuilding competition, you know?
Yeah.
And if you go to that show and you don't win, well, I don't see that as a failure either. No, you now got wiser on like, what do I need to bring? You tested yourself against other competitors on the stage. You got judge feedback.
Yeah.
You learned something on this prep that's going to be valuable for the next prep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you, when you learn, you win. You never fail.
Yeah.
So
It's
there's no
also,
failure in life.
and you can do like, and this is my sort of shtick with it, as it were. Bodybuilding is actually a universal gift to anyone. Competitive bodybuilding is different, right? So as you said, Gina, you know, you get to like the depths and it's like, okay, we're probably skewing some health markers here and things happen. But the actual bodybuilding in itself, you're learning, as you say, you know, discipline, structure, eating right, supplementation, like normal supplementation, sleep routine. Well, how are all those things causing a negative effect on your life, right? Like it doesn't add up. So,
No, not at all.
and
You
it's,
learn your limits. How much can you push yourself? What can you really do and achieve?
yeah,
You know, where you started maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Look where you're at now.
yeah,
You know, I always say that bodybuilding is the perpetual pursuit of perfection that you will never get.
yeah.
And then, like the haters will say, "Well, that's body dysmorphia," but it's like
It's
it's
how
in
you, it's what
it's
you,
in
yeah,
in any type of craft. It doesn't matter what the craft is. You should wanna evolve. You should wanna get better. It's part of the journey. Just because you want to get bigger, that's not a negative. I'll say, yeah, it can become a negative if you hate yourself. Like,
yeah,
say if you hate the self-image you have now, and you're like, um, so if we take a off season contra on season, right? Like you're coming from the shredness and looking great and into the off season, and if you can't come to terms with it and love yourself no matter what, like I've always been happy with how I look. You know that. I've never been like, oh, I'm fat, I'm not. It's like you can do something about it. You don't need to be fat off season. You can tighten up and have a nice shape in the off season still. I mean, I don't recommend getting fat, both like physical and mentally. Like you should feel good about yourself, right? And also like, don't be the one that needs to diet for 6 months or more.
yeah,
So I mean, I don't see what the issue is. Like, I think the issues, they were already existing. If you don't love yourself, you're gonna have problems. Like maybe everybody was like validating you. You know, that's like also another issue. Like, what kind of validation do you need? You need to learn to self-validate and not be depending on
Can
like
you say that
everybody's-
again? We live in a world where everyone is looking for external validation, social media.
I mean, social media.
Is
It's
that
all
how
about
it's
getting validated from other people. How many likes, how many comments, who said something cool, you know, like it's just outside validation is kind of like
worthless?
it's the worst
Because it really don't
because
matter what
if
anybody
it's
else
not
thinks.
depending
don't
on
know.
outside validation, what when it's not there? And I'm one who's I both tried to be, I don't think I've ever last, but I was like second last, and I was the best in the world. And you know, you cannot rely on like, you know, when I was winning the Rising Phoenix and stuff, I had all the fans, everybody likes Helle, you're the shit, you're the best, blah, blah. And then when I didn't win anymore, they were on to the next one, you know?
There we go.
They,
There we go.
Next flavor.
most of them they just left because now I wasn't the winning one. Now I wasn't the one that was popular, you know? And you gotta like deal with that and not like be dependent on everybody validating you and be like, oh, you're
Because
the best.
What are you gonna do when that validation is gone? Are you gonna crumble, or are you gonna be so strong and self assured that it don't matter what noise is out there, whether it's good or bad or gone? Right?
It is what it is, you know, like you win and you lose, and you enjoy the journey if you enjoy bodybuilding and you enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, we all want to win, but it's like, it's unrealistic that you win every single competition. Enjoy the wins and learn from the times where you don't get the placing you want, and you can say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. What can we do here? And I also had at some point, I just got too old, you know, where I had to say, you know what? I can't keep up anymore. I have multiple injuries and I'm just not as good as I used to be. You know, it's a natural decline. Every single sports athlete in the world experiences that when you reach a certain age. I mean, I competed until I was 49 and held in there in the top. You know, I was top 5 for 11 years in a row. And I'm proud of that, you know? So,
It's having that game plan after that as well, isn't it? Like, because
yeah.
you can still do the bodybuilding when you retire from bodybuilding competitively as well, but trying to hold on to those good parts of it. And before we hit record, Gina, you were saying, you know, how long it can actually take to go, I'm not going to be that shredded competitive physique again, you know, looking forward. That in itself, I think, because there's so many
It's
like it is positive when you reach new depths, right? And it's conditioned. Like when you're doing what we're saying here, doing it for you, it's exciting, it's cool. Like it's not just because you want to walk around shredded all the time. Like you're like, whoa, this is who I've become. I think sometimes that's like a
This is what I created,
yeah.
you know?
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's like I wouldn't be there again. Like, whoa, you know, that's sort of how that feels.
Yeah. I mean, reconciling with that, it's a bit challenging, you know, knowing that you're never gonna look that way again, you know. And also for me, even getting to the gym has been it's been a challenge, you know. Before when I was competing, it was never a question. There was never, should I go to the gym today or not? No. It never entered my mind. Now it's kind of like, yeah, I don't go today. It's not that big a deal. You know, so I've had to find a balance, quite frankly, that bodybuilding never afforded.
Yeah.
Because now I have to go enough to maintain and to do what I need to do for my health.
But I think also it's just creating a different why. What is your why?
Yeah, what is your why? Because your why has changed.
The why is not, I'm going to win that show on 16th of April. You know,
Yeah.
there's no 16th of April that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So you might have to dig way back to why you started going to the gym. Was it to get stronger? Was it because you wanted to look different? You know, it may have been because you wanted to be a bodybuilder and get on stage. You know, but for a lot of us, it started far longer before that.
Yeah.
So we had to go back to our roots and figure out what that was and find that joy that we learned and experienced in the very beginning and just, you know, employ it in a different way today, you know. So I think there's a transition. I mean, life is full of them, right? So it's a matter of how you manage those transitions, about how the next chapter is going to be.
Yeah.
So
And it's trying
And
to
also, I also think it's okay to say we're doing different things in life. I mean, I spent like 30 plus years on this sport, and I'm just like, you know what, this is a new chapter in my life, and that's also exciting because I get to do different things because bodybuilding can also be very, or not can, it is restrictive when you live that athlete life and you have show after show after show. uh, there's a lot of things you can't do, like it's harder to be. I mean, you can't be social all year. You can be social to a certain extent. Off season, I've certainly always been social. When you start getting really tired and sort of like, what can you say, your vision gets very focused, razor focused. You're just not interested in things. I mean, you don't want anything that takes away from your sleep, or
Mm.
if you're not training, you're basically either cooking or sleeping, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it is like that. It's professional sports. Like you can't do picnic every weekend. So now I can do picnic every weekend. So, so it's just it's finding it's finding a different life. It's finding a different why, as Gina said. What is up with this cat?
Is that a cat?
The cat. She wants to be in the podcast. So no, but I also think it's important. Like I've always had the ability to have a positive outlook on everything. So instead of seeing it as oh, I lost something, I see it as like, well, I also gained something.
Yeah.
I gained a new portion of my life that I can live in a different way, right? I have other opportunities that I didn't have before. I can pursue other interests. I mean, now I started kite surfing. So some days I just don't weight train. I go kite surfing or I go swimming. We started some yoga. We started box training twice a week. So also exploring a bit of other sports where I said before, like, well, I mean, you can't do it all because you get fucking tired if you have to do five different types of sports. So you got to focus on your weights, and maybe you can pick like one or two things. Like maybe you can do box once in a while, or a cardio for a box for cardio, or a yoga for stretching that can be implemented. But um, now I just do many things. Like. It can be like walks on the beach. It can be I go in the pool and do 20 laps, and that's my workout for the day. And I'm also enjoying doing different things. And I'm also enjoying, like, I can travel. I can be with me and my boyfriend. Oh, let's get like a weekend getaway to another city here, or
Yeah, I mean, definitely
just the freedom of doing whatever I want.
life after competing definitely has a luxury that being a competitive athlete didn't afford.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot about having balance as bodybuilders, and I think in a perfect world, there might be. But realistically, if you're serious about your craft and you're a competitive athlete,
You gotta, like, that's back to that, having that sense of urgency.
Yes.
You gotta be on it. You gotta be on it. And like we also talked about it here yesterday, where you said, I'm just not really hungry if I don't work out hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing. If you really work out hard, yeah, you got that appetite, you gotta eat your meals, but also you're tired in your body, like there's many things. Like I've had sometimes we really went and we worked like balls to the walls, and I had to go kite surfing later in the day, and I was just like, oh, I think I have to cancel because we did delts. Like I can't be standing like this for an hour with the kite, because my delts are fried.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true
So
though.
you gotta choose a lot of things off. I remember also, like, I didn't want to do anything dangerous when I competed, because, like, say if I go roller skating,
Yep.
and I fall and I
Injury.
break my wrist,
Yeah.
that's the end of
Yep. Season's over.
of the season is over, you know.
And you don't
Like,
want to break your wrist now.
I go
but-
skiing and I break my leg, you know. It's like I stopped all of those things because I was scared of injury.
I did too. And now, I mean, I still don't want the injury, but at least if it happens, it's not gonna, you know, mean I can't get on stage or
We
I
got to be the daredevils now.
I feel like balance as well, right? Like you can still do things in a prep. Like you could go for a walk with a friend, right? Get your steps at the same time, go for a black coffee. There's certain things.
Yes, sir.
But also you do get to points where you just don't want to do those things. And that's, you know,
Definitely.
you can feel bad but again, it's like this is what I try and sort of teach clients and speak about on the podcast. It's like those people around you make it clear. Like when I went into my first prep where me and Matt were together, I was just like, this is my everything, right? And you're either with me as a competitive bodybuilder or you're not. You're either in or you're out. And yeah, that might seem callous or whatever, but I got to a point in my adult life where I'm like, I'd either be on my own or be with someone that will support me fully. And I think sometimes it's like this, you know, oh, I don't really want to say anything or I don't want to communicate. But as we're talking about in this episode, you have to own it, right? Like you have to, because people need
Yeah.
to, because it's, you know, when people say as well, bodybuilding's so selfish that, well, yeah, you need to be self-centered. I'm just not going to get
But
it
it's not
done.
just bodybuilding, it's any sports. Like,
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
the guy that's a professional basketball player, he can just take off practice because the wife want to go eat? No, she supports him and she's like, no, I'm going to do everything. Like, sports wives are some of the most fucking supportive wives in the world. They will do anything
Yes.
to help their man's career. And I think that is what we're missing as women. You know, I see these like male bodybuilders, they come with the wives and walk behind with all the cooler bags and all the bags, and she prepped all the food and she cooked all the food. You know, I don't know how many times we talked about it where we've been like, man, I wish I had a man that could like cook my food and prep my food and pack my cooler bags and order my flight, book my flight tickets and book the hotels and take all of those things off our shoulders. But
We didn't.
it's very hard to find men that are really invested in your career and say, you know what, I want to support your dreams. And I think it's great you said either you're in or out, because it's not just about bodybuilding, it's about you having a dream and your man supporting your dream. And if you have a man that's not willing to support your dream, or you have a woman that's not willing to support your dream, it's out. It's out. You want to open that business or you want to get that education, it don't matter. Dreams are important. That's what we are made of. We are made of dreams and desires and wants for ourselves. And if you have somebody who's going to suppress that and say that's not important, it's out.
Adios.
Basic life. It's not about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's basic life.
Yeah. And someone that you know, almost adds fuel to your fire to want to do more and be more rather than, like you saying, very good word there, suppression. What also happens with suppression is that you're constantly in this mindset of, you know, worrying about them and making excuses to that. You're using energies that you need to use on your prep and what you're doing as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to end up potentially.
You want the guy that's gonna say when you say, you know, I think I'm gonna skip the gym today. That's to say, you're going.
Yes.
I'm starting up the car right now and I'm making a pre-workout right now. That's the guy you want. Here's the pre-workout, baby. Let's go.
I love that.
You know?
Oh,
And even if he doesn't work out, you know, he's going, you know, I'm gonna go spot you. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna push you. Let's go.
yeah. We need some carbon. Could your transformation company make some of these?
Maybe we should make courses for men how to support the women, their women's dreams, how to prep the food and pack it in the cooler bag and everything.
That's a transformation.
What to say when she's tired and what to say when she don't want to go do the cardio. I actually had a boyfriend at one point. He was pretty nice. Like when I was tired at night, I was like really like, oh, My legs are heavy. I know I gotta go. He's like, come on, I'll go with you.
I
And
love
he'll do
that.
it with me. And the cardio was so much more fun. It was so much shorter because we would talk on the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can help
too.
I had a friend that did that too. You also had a friend that did that too.
Were they
All
male?
the time I walked with you in Rio, I was like, oh no.
For me, it was Dubai when I used to go those late walks.
Yeah. We supported each other a lot on preps. Also, like she was training me the last few years of my career. She would travel with me wherever I kind of decided to go in the world to prep. I had a few years at the end where I was like, I guess also I always wanted to travel,
Mm.
and I was always kind of scared of traveling while I was prepping, because all the foods and I
Yeah.
needed my environment. But as I got better at prepping, and I just realized all I need is really a kitchen,
Yeah.
a bed, a
good
gym,
Yeah.
groceries,
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. I just travel. I was in Dubai, I was in Colombia, I was in Brazil prepping, and I was just like, I'm just gonna live like any other person. Like we living in Sao Paulo for like 5 months prepping, and we didn't see anything. We didn't go sightseeing. We didn't do nothing. It was just kind of like
You were living.
from my apartment in LA, it was just kind of like, okay, we just put the apartment in Brazil, and then we lived there because I wanted to train at Ironburg because I was on the conviction that was probably the best gym in the world, which like it was amazing. And I had like the best conditions for that prep, and I had my trainer right beside me, supporting, and yeah, it's worked out amazingly. Actually, moving from country to country every prep and just setting up camp, it worked great.
Yeah, because it does open travel, like, and also I feel like when you are in the space and you can travel, or if you're reaching people through social media, you meet people like across the world, and you can build this like extension of a community. Because we spoke about relationships there, you can lose friendships as well. Of course, you can, because
Mm,
whether they project or whether they don't like or whatever. But you
yeah.
start to formulate these like tentacles across the world, and then suddenly it's like maybe I'm not as alone as I thought I would be, particularly the people that support you throughout all phases, not just when you're on stage. You can actually get people like, when we spoke about off season, when you're like, I'm at that point of off season. Someone else is, and you're like, oh, okay, well, how do you feel and stuff. So it opens the peripheral for travel, for interactions with people that you never would have interacted before. And I think that
Absolutely.
it's a really beautiful part to bodybuilding. And that's why when you did that post, it's stuff like that these people, they disregard, that we find belonging, we find purpose, and we find the beauty in bodybuilding. And that's why it feels so hurtful, I think, sometimes, because we've experienced so many positives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely we were in bodybuilding communities in many parts of the world. We were part of a bodybuilding community in Dubai, in Brazil, Colombia, I
Mexico.
mean, Mexico as well. Yeah, and we still have many of those friendships still.
Exactly.
I,
Like when we when
I
we
still go back sometimes to visit some of the people. Like
Yeah.
I went back this year to Mexico to just be in that bodybuilding community for a couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that says bodybuilding changed my life. I mean, it's brought so much wealth and value to my life, so many different levels in relationships and friendships and learning and getting to push myself and know what I'm capable of, the extremes that I was able to achieve. I mean, and it's carrying on. It's even though I'm not competing anymore, it's still bringing value to my life. It gave me a purpose, as a coach, and when a client says, "Wow, you're a great coach," and I'm like, I love what I do,
yeah,
and getting you on stage is now the closest I will ever get again to getting on it myself.
yeah,
So I'm gonna live vicariously through you,
yeah, the passion is there.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many, wonderful things that it can bring to your life. And it makes me sad when I see these stories that people are bodybuilding ruined my life and it did this and it was horrible. And I'm like, how did they have such an extremely different experience?
Yeah,
I mean, I can get it if, say, we're talking about drugs and they got damaged by drugs. And
But I got damaged too. They still didn't ruin my life.
yeah. I mean,
maybe a coach if they were a real shithead.
I feel bad also, like, if when people sit back, like they retire and they sit back and they're bitter. And you read their bitter posts, and many times I feel like they didn't achieve what they wanted. Like, they felt like they put so much into it, like effort and money and this and that, and they didn't get where they wanted to be, like professionally. But I'm like, nothing is guaranteed. You can, like, you gotta enjoy the journey. Like, you know, good years doesn't come back as a bad year later. Like, if you truly enjoyed what you did and you had good preps, you had good journeys, you had good interactions with people, you enjoyed yourself at expos. I mean, just because you don't reach what you wanted, it's like there's such a few percent of people in the world that actually get to win the Olympia.
Yeah.
You cannot base your entire joy, if I'm gonna say this was successful for me and not, on that.
Yeah.
You can still be successful at many levels. You achieved that body that you never else would have had if you hadn't got into bodybuilding. You got the discipline, the mental toughness. You created friendships. You created a body that 0.01% in the world has, and I'm I'm still, most people, they have decent results. Like, if they really put themselves into it, like, they will have won something, or they will have top place, maybe top 5 in something, which is still really, really good.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
But I think just people place too much emphasis on the result, and that will determine whether they think they were successful or not.
Rather than,
But
so it's about the
but you lived your
destination.
dream. You wanted to do something and you did it. Like, you can transfer this to any other thing. Like, just because you become a teacher, maybe you'll never be teacher of the year. That doesn't mean you're not the best teacher. Or maybe you won't be in the I don't know, top most wealthiest companies in the world, but that doesn't mean your company is not good.
Yeah.
You did your best, and your best is good enough. You cannot do more than your best. Maybe somebody else's best is better. So what? There will always be somebody who is better than you or worse than you at any given time. Yes, I was better than everybody else at some point because I did win the world championships. But then the next year, I lost it and somebody else were better. And that is the way of life,
Yeah.
that you're gonna be up and down like this. But if you don't find you're happy and find happiness in everything, find some contentment, remember to love yourself, give yourself a pat on your shoulder, give yourself some grace, and be grateful for your life, then you will never find happiness.
Peace.
And peace with yourself.
Salama.
The bodybuilding brings out religion in us. Yeah, it brings.
Yeah.
It's.
That is real.
I say it's like the gym is my church because it's like I'm not religious, so it's my religion, and it's like that's my choice. So when I go to the gym, it's like this is my sacred place. This is what I need to do. Now, of course, we've spoken about a little bit about your coaching. Before we wrap up, with your coaching, obviously you spoke about that you're universal, whether it's lifestyle enhancement, whether it's competing, whether it's pros, like you literally cover everything. Is there anything you want to talk about in regards to where you're at with the business, etc., before we go? Because it's important to promote you guys. Of course it is.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, so it's like you said, it's lifestyle, it's athletes, it's competitive. You want to look like a bodybuilder and not compete, so it doesn't really matter. Life coaching, posing, so
Yeah, you mentioned life coaching. So what we're talking about here today, we do also give life coaching sessions to but really, like, I've had anything for somebody going through a difficult divorce to people having just competitive anxieties, overeating,
Needing new life strategies,
issues, past issues, childhood traumas, we help with all that as well through sessions where we use what we have learned through a lifetime of having to perform under pressure and keep a healthy mindset throughout it, because you cannot perform for years and years and years without having a really strong mindset. And that's what we're teaching others. So that's one of the things she just mentioned, as well as posing. We're very busy with posing. I'm basically fully booked every weekend because that's usually when people are off work. So weekends, I work a lot, and yeah, we enjoy also helping with that aspect, both with routines and mandatory poses, eye walks for figure, wellness. We do all the categories.
Men,
so
it doesn't matter.
yeah, we also coach men. We got a good men's division here also. So
Literally anyone.
everyone's welcome.
welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fat, skinny, muscular, men, women, trans, we help everyone. There's no judgment over here.
Judgment.
There's no room for judgment until this
Zero
is
judgment zone.
yeah. We just want to help our people. Now I will
We
put
just want to help.
yeah. And I will put in the description the Instagram for the transformation company as well. Both of your individual Instagrams, of course. And if anyone wants to reach out to either of you or both of you through the duo company on Instagram, please do, guys. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, do all of that good stuff, because we want to see this, right? We want to see that the community are taking things from our talks, because obviously you're going to be back on. So
obviously, you know it already.
yeah. But of course,
we're gonna have new interesting topics next time to talk about.
I feel like these are topics that, like, obviously bodybuilding, I talk about all the topics, but you've given some we've spoken about some things I haven't spoken about for a while, so that's super cool. But yeah, and if anyone has any topics for us, let us know.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool.
Like, just put it in the comments. We'll take it up next time.
And
but I love this.
Anything's on the table.
Anything's on the table.
Literally, we will talk about anything.
I
love you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also cool to sometimes talk about something different than chicken and rice. So a little deeper.
Yeah, you can go after that. You can go anywhere.
We got a little deeper today. Chicken and potato? Nah.
I love it. Well, I love you both. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for everyone watching.
Yes.
See you next time.
Yes.
Bye. Enjoy the gym.
Thank you.
Bye.